Good day and welcome to a special GIS report. I am Crystal Kenyon-Abel for the Department of Disaster Management and the Department of Information and Public Relations. We are reflecting on the milestone 5th anniversary of the passage of Hurricane Irma. I'm here today with General Manager of the BVI Electricity Corporation, Mr. Leroy Abraham, and with our Director of Water and Sewerage Department, Mrs. Perlin Scatliff-Leonard. Welcome.
Thank you,
Thank
Crystal.
you.
Thank you for the invitation.
And I joined the general manager in saying thank you and thank you for the invitation as well.
So I'm really interested to hear both of your perspective as in terms of how we did and how far we've come, in the last 5 years. The first thing I want to ask about is for you to reflect back on that period when we were waiting or during the initial impact. When did you know that Hurricane Irma was going to be a different kind of impact than we had seen in recent memory?
Well, for me, it was a news advisory on the Weather Channel when the reporter indicated that this hurricane was so powerful, it was setting off the seismic meters and registering as an earthquake. I had never heard anything like that before nor since. So to me, that was the turning point with regards to the mere strength of Irma as it approached the territory.
That the storm is a literal earth shaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
And for us at the Water and Sewage Department, because at the time we were in constant liaison with the DDM department, so most of our information we were getting from the DDM. And when it shifted a bit, and it keeps shifting towards the south side, is when we realized that we were in for some trouble. And, the old folks would say, once it comes down on the south, the BVI is in trouble. So together with that information from the DDM and what I knew from the old folks, I had a feeling we were into getting some licks from that storm.
Yeah. So that's when we really had to be bracing ourselves. Yeah. After the storm passed now, how was it to balance the various challenges that we faced based on just the scale of the impact that we saw? From basically the top all the way on down, we had very serious impacts. How were you able to balance the competing needs in those early days?
It was extremely difficult. I think Perlene would attest to this. The first thing you have to do is essentially find some level of composure and strength within yourself, because I don't know about anyone. I had never seen devastation to that extent in the territory, and to some degree it was somewhat almost discouraging, and the first feeling was a level of hopelessness. Like, can the BVI recover from something like this? So the initial feeling for me was having to strengthen yourself, like, well, we have a lot of work to do. Mm-hmm. And once you're able to strengthen yourself and find that inner motivation, because remember, everyone is feeling that same way.
Yeah.
I was one of those unfortunate individuals who their home was severely damaged and not habitable. Right. So I had my team in a very similar situation. So first and foremost for me was ensuring the status of my team, what condition they were in, and their families accordingly. So to me, those were the initial reactions following the event, just from a health and safety standpoint, making sure that everyone was okay, their families were okay, recognizing the extent of the devastation.
Yes. Generally, the same sentiments we would have had at the Water and Sewage Department, because you're not only juggling the department, you're juggling personal responsibilities at home, and of course you'll want to make sure that your staff, that their households are very much secured, and you don't want to appear as mean, for lack of a better word at this moment, that you're not allowing them to go. But how do we then secure the assets of this department. So just that juggling factor, I think, was very difficult for us to maneuver a bit. But we did it. The team was very adamant that we needed to do, because at the end of the day, you're looking, yes, we are going to protect our homes. We're going to make sure that's done. And we want to make sure that the department is secured as well, because you do not want to come back to the department and have all this extra to do, or you're thinking on the customers as well. So just that bit, the juggling between the personal matters and the department matters.
Yeah.
But strangely enough, after you got over those initial emotions, it was actually therapeutic
Yeah.
to focus your mind on the recovery effort.
Right.
So, albeit everyone was dealing with a myriad of different things, personally, individually, family-wise, business-wise, it was, as I say, to some degree therapeutic, that on a daily basis you actually had something to motivate you to go and focus your attention on, as opposed to your damaged home.
Right.
The fact that there's no school, and those are the factors. So,
I would just want to call our viewers' attention to the fact that here I have my leadership when it comes to utilities. So I have to be very candid and say I was a little bit expecting to maybe hear about equipment or assets or whatever. But kudos to you both, because I feel that you both saw your teams first, and really responding to those very human needs first. I think it reflects well on you both, but also on our whole territory. You know, I think that's one of our real strengths, is that we're able to come together and take care of each other in those crisis periods. Yeah. So what's something that was accomplished, during the recovery period that you feel particularly proud of?
Okay. For us at the Water and Sewage Department, I would say that apart from restoring water services to many of our customers, we were able to convince bodies that we needed to change out our water tanks at the Longbush, Carrot Bay, and Zion Hill areas. So now at this point, we are fully territory-wide with steel glass roofs to steel tanks, which is a big accomplishment for the BVI. We also, at this time, because at the time they took out our systems with our billing for our customers and so forth. So with that, we were able to push a bit deeper and convince the authorities that we needed to get our billing system online, where we would be able to right away at some point come up quickly to begin billing and our customers and so forth. Because what happened to us right after the storm, we went manual. We had to create our own bill invoices in order to give to customers for them to make payment. So we are out of that situation now. So if something was to happen again, I think we are pretty much in good stead to deal with that situation. So again, the steel tanks that we were able to put up in Zion Hill, Carrot Bay, and Longbush. And of course, during that time, we changed also our Mayor Cove Reservoir from a fiberglass to the steel tank. So I would say that those would be the two most greatest accomplishment, apart from making sure that we restore as much of our customers as possible. Yes.
So it sounds like you were able to make Build Back Better a reality for
better, stronger. I would hope, because they were tested. They didn't take down any of our steel tanks except on Jost Van Dyke, and that happened because we had a situation with one of the pump stations over there. And then no technicians over there. They were all over here. And of course, over here, we are protecting ourselves and our families. So that steel tank was lost. But I always say to folks, even the tanks can go, because of what it did to Jost Van Dyke, you never know. It took off the roof at Sabbath Hill. but we kept the water because it was filled. So that helped us a lot, even after the hurricane was passed, to get services back to customers in the Rotang area. We still have some work to do, I think, because you want to make sure that even if the tank is down, that you have some way to get that water from the plant around to customers. So we still do have a little bit of work on the western end to do in that regards, but we are in a better place now with those tanks.
Well, for us, I think the most proudest thing is the fact that we were able to reinstate or reconnect everyone who was quote unquote connectable within a 6-month period of time. To some persons, that may not sound significant, but for a utility that practically started at zero, when you put things in context, we had no headquarters. The majority of our power station was severely damaged. Thank God the capital expansion that we had started in 2015, that actually finished on time, and we dedicated that in May of 2017. And it was that new extension is what was used to bring power on, because the older portion of the station practically lost the majority of its roof. So that station was totally off limits. With the limited resources, recognizing the volume of countries in the region that were devastated by both Irma and Maria, most of the resources for the electric utility in this region come from primarily one place, the United States. And recognizing that the USVI and Puerto Rico were damaged, those of us had to compete with the resources which were primarily dedicated to go towards the recovery for those entities. So, as I say, painting a picture with the limited resources that we had, the limited assistance, albeit that we got quite a bit of assistance from our regional sister utilities. I think we had approximately 11 sister utilities that came in from all different jurisdictions in the Caribbean to assist with the recovery. We also got some assistance from some Canadian linesmen that was engaged by the UK government. But I don't want to draw any comparisons at the end of the day. But when you look at those numbers compared to the numbers that you were hearing in right next door, it wasn't even a scratch in terms of the volume of the resources that was in the USVI dealing with recovery. Everyone primarily lives on Tortola, but believe it or not, we supply 12 different islands. So it isn't just Tortola that got recovered in 6 months. It's all 12, and those customers who were in a position to be reconnected was reconnected. We had approximately 17 or just over 17,000 customers before the event. And by the time we were finished 6 months, in 6 months' time, we were able to connect, I think, just around 13,000.
Wow.
So those numbers in itself shows the extent of the devastation.
Yeah.
Okay, in terms of the customers that we weren't able to reconnect because of their structures being severely damaged. So for my team to be able to rally with those odds and get everything back up in 6 months, I think it was truly miraculous. That's the only word I can find to describe it.
Yeah. Definitely. It's hard to wrap your head around that scale. Yeah. So if you could go back in time and speak to your pre-Irma self, you could give some advice. What would you share?
Be prepared. I think it's very important for persons to understand that, we have bodies, agencies out there who are skilled and who are knowledgeable, who are there to guide us when it comes to these type of things. Basically listen. And I know I spoke earlier about the old folks said and so forth. And while those may be in order and they have their places, we do have improved systems and technology to guide us. So once we listen, it may not be exactly what is said, but it gives us all the information that we need to prepare. Be prepared nonetheless, whether or not it happens, and we should be okay. That's how I see that. And I just want to share just a personal example, because we were home at the time, my household and I, and because I was very much involved with DDM and what was happening on this end, I turned to my husband and I said, the storm is coming south. And it's coming heavy south, because you realize that it's picking up speed. Oh no, it says it's going so it's going to go towards the Anegada side. And all the time I'm saying, no, I think we're coming south. And it's only when it came south, you have the scrambling going on, because now it's coming south. So that's typically what happened at my household. We were scrambling. So don't be second guessing the authorities that are there to guide us. Follow. You cannot be no worse off if you follow. That's basically my advice to people. Realistically.
I think if I can go back in time and to just pick up from where you left off, I don't think anyone is going to how can I say not be prepared anymore.
No.
Because I think one thing with human nature, we always refer back to the worst incident that ever occurred. And I know for us, the worst incident in terms of an extreme weather event for us was Irma. So that has set the new bar, and that's now a new reference in all our minds. I think all of us would be speaking about Irma until because that's the new threshold in terms of preparedness. Preparedness has always been a key ingredient at BVIEC, recognizing we're first responders. We always have to be out there first in terms of recovery. I think mentally, our minds protect ourselves because our minds can never conceive the worst, because it always references the worst from whatever the last worst event was. All of us, what has been our homes, what has been the water infrastructure, what has been the electrical infrastructure, we've endeavored to build back stronger than what was there before. But even that stronger is in association with an event that what happened, such as Irma, was something associated with that. God forbid we get something.
Something plus.
Yes, plus Irma.
Yeah.
I don't think the human mind can literally conceive what that would ever look like.
Yeah.
And if we have to live through it, once again, we're much more resilient than how we were before. Yeah. We'll deal with it. So if I can go back to my pre-Irma, I don't think I would do anything different with regards to the preparations, because our preparation systems, recognizing that we're in the hurricane belt, are pretty good. In terms of the way how we constructed, we did realize that, recognizing from that event and from the lessons learned, we have employed different material in terms of our construction, the grid construction standards. We used to use a particular class poles. Now everyone see the poles are much more, they have a lot more girth to them. So so whatever we needed to learn from the event, I think we have. And we've employed it in terms of our strategy going forward.
Right.
So it is just the hope and pray that we don't have to live through another event such as that again.
Right.
But I don't think there's anything major that I would have done any differently.
Yeah. So the lesson that I'm taking is that because the expert advice and the reports, the frequent updates, you all were following them from the jump.
Yes.
And what you would go back and tell yourself is keep doing that.
Keep doing that. Keep doing
paying
that.
attention
Yes.
and keep planning and keep being prepared. All right. Well, thank you both so much for your time and your thoughtfulness today. I really appreciated your perspectives. Thank you so much to the viewers as well who are tuning into this special GIS report series where we are reflecting on Hurricane Irma for the 5th anniversary. I am Crystal Kanyuk-Abel for the Department of Disaster Management and the Department of Information and Public Relations. Thanks again.